My advice for young architecture students. 3 things that I've learned that I feel like you should learn too. Let's go. I'm not going to be following a script for this video, so don't mind me if I start rambling, but my first piece of advice for you is to just listen. This doesn't just mean, listening in your lectures, listening to your tutor when they're speaking, but it's also got to do with, I guess, a lot of students, they want to fight and defend their work, and that's fair enough. They're passionate about the work they've done, and their tutor says that you can improve this and you can do all this stuff, but the student doesn't listen. They are rather trying to just defend the work they've done, the work they've spent ages and hours on. But this isn't necessarily the best way to go about it. Your tutors and your professors are the people that have done it before. They've seen thousands of students, or maybe not thousands, they've seen lots of students work and they've done it and experienced it themselves, and so they know most of the time what's best, although it is still just a subjective opinion. And so whereas you don't need to necessarily take on the advice that they are giving to you, you don't have to take on everything they say about your project, but to just listen to what they're saying is going to be so helpful. And if you're not listening, then you can't learn new things. So sometimes it's good just to put your ego aside, as hard as that is sometimes, rather than interfering and talking over the top of your tutors when they're giving you feedback, I guess. It's just a best practice that I've found is to listen to what they're saying, and it is just an opinion, but to take it on and try to implement what you can, and you never know, there might be something really good, and there might be some golden nuggets that you can take away and use for your project, or hell, just take and learn from it for next time. And then obviously you still want to be listening in your lectures, in your tutes, in your seminars, whatever it may be. Just make sure you're listening to the people that matter. What I found, this isn't just helpful when, listening to your architecture teachers, but listen to students, listen to what people have to say. This isn't just, got to do with architecture school, but listening is something that people aren't very good at anymore, I'll be honest. But if you're a good listener, that's a skill that not many people have, which is a skill that's highly sought after. The best communicators are those that listen. I think if you can practice the skill of being a good listener, you're going to go really far. You're going to learn a lot more than those that are trying to defend themselves, defend their projects. And by listening, you're going to become a great architecture student and person in general. My second piece of advice is something that has just kind of popped up to me being in my last semester of my bachelor's degree. And that's just to show up. Even if you haven't done any work all week, even if you are scared, you're behind, or you're just not too sure about your design, or you just don't feel like going into uni, just show up, just rock up, show up, do your thing, listen, interact with people, and you never know, you're going to come up with new ideas. You're going to get more motivated by seeing other people, seeing what other people are doing. And if you're not showing up to your lectures, to your tutes, to your seminars, you're going to be missing out on the content you're paying for, because really university costs a lot of money. If you're not utilizing that education and those resources available to you, then you're spending a lot of money on nothing. And I don't just want it to be all about money. You're paying to learn, so you may as well show up and learn as much as you can, and you can only do that by showing up. And from someone that likes to work from home a lot, I find this difficult. Sometimes I just want to stay at home and just work on my project. I've got my setup here, so to pack up everything and spend 15 minutes packing up and then just walking to uni to show my design to my teacher or something. It's still something that I like to do, and it's something that I encourage you to do as well, because if you're not showing up, you're not going to get feedback, you're not going to go progress in your education, in your skill set, and you're going to be missing out on the resources available to you. And both these points kind of lead back into my third and final piece of advice, my third lesson for you, the young architecture student, which is to strive to get better, not to get good grades. And this is so freaking hard. A lot of the time we're getting stuck on this path of where we feel like the grade is what matters and that's all that matters. And we forget sometimes, or sometimes we take shortcuts or do something that we don't like to do to try and get a better grade. Sometimes we compromise on our education and what we're actually learning and the skills we are growing at getting better at. We compromise that to get better grades. And if you're in architecture school at the moment and you think back to what it was like in high school, I bet you don't even remember what grades you got. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter. 2-3 years after high school, your grades just mean nothing, as in, you know, they're worthless. And it's more about kind of the education you got from it. It's more about what you've actually learned in the actual content that you've learnt. If you've just gone through all of high school and you've gotten straight A's but you don't remember anything from it, then it's like, what good is actually studying? And that's the same for architecture school. If you're just learning and doing things for the sake of getting good grades and you're just forgetting all of that content that you've just tried and learnt, well, what's the point? You should be in it to strive for getting better at architecture rather than trying to get good grades. And whereas sometimes those things do come hand in hand, sometimes getting good grades does help you learn because you're pushing yourself, but grades aren't all that matters. In fact, they hardly even matter at all. What matters is that you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You're doing new things and trying new things to get comfortable with doing harder things. You're challenging yourself to get better and you're learning new things along that path rather than just doing the set way of doing something and, you know, doing that thing that you do every single time in a project because you know you can get straight A's for it. Rather take a step back and think, what's something new that I can learn? What's something else I can try and, you know, experiment with to, you know, broaden my skill set to get better at something that I'm not so good at? Or perhaps just look for those opportunities to learn where you can. And so that's my 3 pieces of advice for you, the young architecture student. I hope you found them helpful. If you did, please do leave a like on the video. And if you have any advice yourself that you can share with me or other students, please do leave them down in the comments down below. I would really love to read through them, and I always appreciate you guys commenting on my videos. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do press that button down below, click that bell so you get notified when I post new videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care.